would like to call on the Deputy Executive Secretary Academic to lead us in the opening prayer for Christians. After him, the Director of Skills Development and Entrepreneurship will lead us in the Muslim prayer. Thank you.
Shall we pray? Our Father in heaven, we thank you for today. We thank you for the gift of life. We thank you for this program we're about to commence. And we thank you for the objectives of this program. We thank you for the fulfillment of the objectives. And we pray that your wholesome counsel will prevail in this meeting. Thank you for the wisdom, for the lecturer to present this paper to your glory and for the benefit of our nation, Nigeria. All this we ask through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Oh Allah, we thank you for this great day. We thank you for this defining moment, the moment in which we pray that you make it all-inclusive for health, prosperity, and abundant blessings. Oh Allah, we pray that you guide our leaders, you touch their heart. Oh Allah, we pray that you grant eternal rest to our departed soul. Oh Allah, we pray and we thank you for having Mr. Chris J. Maiyaki as our acting executive secretary. He has been so wonderful in changing the narrative and also redefining the higher education landscape. We pray, oh Allah, that as we are about to start this program, we are also praying that you guide us through and also bring us to an end in your mighty name we pray. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa rahim ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa barik ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad kama sallaita wa rahimta wa barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim fil alamin innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma inna nas'aluka bi khairil mas'alat wa khairil du'ai wa khairil najai wa khairil ilm wa khairil amal wa khairil hayati wa khairil mat wa rafa'a darajina wa haqiqi imanina. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
Today we explore the dynamic and ever-evolving landscape of higher education with particular focus on the role of university administrators and how they adapt to the unique challenges and opportunities presented by open distance learning. Without further ado, I would like to acknowledge the presence of the distinguished personalities in our midst, starting from the high table. I would like to recognize the stalwart administrator whose contribution to the growth of university education resounds within and outside the walls of the NUC. He is the Acting Executive Secretary, National Universities Commission, and fittingly the speaker for today's lecture. Please make welcome Mr. Chris J. To his right is the chairman of the event, a man who studied politics as a renowned academic, administrator, and leader are to be reckoned with. A fine gentleman, eminent Nigerian, and the former executive secretary of the National Universities Commission. Please make welcome Professor Julius. To the acting executive secretary's left is the Chancellor of Miva Open University, a man whose unwavering commitment to contributing to the excellence in education continues to inspire us all. Please welcome Singh Shagai. I would also like to welcome the Vice Chancellor of Miva Open University, Professor Tayo Arologo. Last but not least on the high table is the Deputy Executive Secretary Academics of the National Universities Commission, a biochemist by training, fondly referred to as the resident bishop of the commission, a crown I assure you he adores so proudly. Dr. Noah. we have a special guest of honor who is unavoidably absent in the person of Professor Emeritus Oluwemiro Jegede. He is a Nigerian Emeritus Professor of Science and Education. He was the pioneer Vice Chancellor of the National Open University of Nigeria and the immediate past Secretary General of the Association of African Universities, AAU. He is unavoidably absent, like I said, but he has sent his goodwill, which we shall listen to as well. Representing Vice Chancellors of sister universities, we have the rep for the Vice Chancellor of Veritas University, Professor J. Esia, who is the Director of Online Education of the institution. Please a round of applause. Also representing the Vice Chancellor of the sister university, National Open University, is Professor Kumawale Lawal and his team. Professor is the Dean of Faculty of Science. Please welcome him wherever he is. I would also like to welcome the directors of the National Universities Commission. I won't be calling names for time. I recognize all of you here coming to support the Chief Executive as he delivers this lecture. Also the staff of the National Universities Commission, and the indefatigable faculty and staff and the impressionable students of Miva Open University. I welcome you all. And last but not the least, the gentlemen of the press. You are welcome. I thank you all for being here today, as your presence underscores the importance of this topic and the collective efforts needed to advance higher education. Without further ado, before we go to the next item on the agenda, which is the address, the welcome address of the Vice Chancellor, permit me to make a few housekeeping announcements. For exits in this building, in case of emergency, please note that the nearest exit is up in the auditorium to your left and right. We know and we pray that there won't be any cost for that, but in case of emergency, please note where the exits are, to the left and to the right of the auditorium. And for your convenience, we have up in the aisle at the rear of the auditorium, the restrooms, for your convenience. And then your security of your personal belongings. We request that you hold on dearly to your personal belongings, your mobile phones, and whatever item of value you have. Thank you very much. We move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the welcome address by the Vice Chancellor of the institution. Mr. Vice Chancellor, please.
Good afternoon. Distinguished participants, I want to let you know that today we are going to listen to what is not yet available on the internet or on any of the generative AI platforms about how to manage and administer tertiary educations in Nigeria. The chairman of this occasion, please permit me to read my previous speech to go like this. Welcome message by the Vice Chancellor, Professor Tertiary, at the first Miva Open University Public Lecture, delivered by Chris Maiyaki, the Acting Executive Secretary, National Universities Commission, titled The Changing Role of University Administrators in an Open Distance Learning Setting. The Acting Executive Secretary, NUC, Mr. Chris Maiyaki, the distinguished former Executive Secretary, Professor Emeritus Julius Okochi, who is also the chairman of today's event, and the Chancellor of Miva Open University, Sen Shagaya, the Deputy Executive Secretary, NUC, Dr. Noel Sali, the special guest of honor, Professor Emeritus Oluwemiro Jegede, distinguished Vice Chancellors, Principal Officers, Directors and staff of NUC, invited guests, gentlemen and women of the press, faculty, staff, learners, and friends of Miva Open University. I am delighted today to be part of this history-making event, which is the first public lecture from Miva Open University. I thank Professor Emeritus Julius Okoji for accepting to chair this event, and Professor Emeritus Olubelu Jegede for accepting to participate virtually at this event as a special guest of honor. We are actually thrilled to have two most distinguished emeritus professors in the house today. Please, I want to indulge, thank you so much. I want to indulge on you to stand on your feet to give the two eminent professors a resounding applause. Thank you. You can be seated. And today, we are also honored to have with us today a seasoned academic administrator, Chris Maiyaki, the Acting Executive Secretary of the National Universities Commission, who will be speaking on the changing role of university administrators in an open distance learning setting. I'm sure you'll find some answers to these questions. The impact of ODL on administrative structure and processes, the changing skill set required for university administrators in ODL, develop effective strategies for student support and engagement in ODL programs, leveraging technology to enhance ODL administration and delivery. And also, I believe you will find answers to these administrative strategies for addressing the iron triangle of access, cost, and quality. Ladies and gentlemen, at Miva Open University, we pride ourselves on our commitment to make education accessible to all, in line with our motto, study anywhere, anyone, anytime. Today's topic is especially significant as the landscape of higher education is rapidly evolving, and open distance learning stands at the forefront of this transformation. The impact of ODL on Nigeria's economic development cannot be overstated. By breaking down barriers to education, ODL empowers a diverse population, including those in remote and underserved areas, to gain the skills and knowledge necessary for economic participation. This in turn leads to 5 major benefits, which I will highlight there. 1, increased workforce competence. ODL provides continuous learning opportunities, enhancing the skills of the workforce and making it more adaptable and competitive in a global economy. Secondly, entrepreneurial growth. With greater access to education, more individuals can pursue entrepreneurial ventures, driving innovation and job creation across various sectors. Thirdly, economic inclusion. By offering flexible learning schedules, ODL allows working adult and marginalized groups to improve their qualifications without disrupting their livelihoods. Therefore, fostering inclusive economic growth. 4, cost-effective education. ODL reduces the need for physical infrastructure, lowering the cost of education, and making it more affordable for a larger segment of the population. 5, bridging skill gaps. ODL addresses the mismatch between the skills taught in traditional education system and those demanded by the labor market, and ensuring that graduates are job ready. Ladies and gentlemen, today we look forward to gaining valuable insights from Mr. Maiyaki's expertise and experience. His perspective will no doubt enrich our understanding of the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead for university administrators in the ODL environment. I encourage all attendees to engage fully with the lecture and the subsequent discussion. Your participation will contribute to a meaningful dialogue of shaping the future of higher education in Nigeria and beyond. Before I conclude this welcome message, let me give honor and appreciation to another distinguished personality here, in the person of the founder and chancellor of Miva Open University, Sim Shagaya. vision and leadership inspire us or to push the boundaries of accessible education, not only tertiary, but secondary and primary sectors. Thank you for making all this happen. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you find today's session both informative and inspiring. I welcome you on behalf of the management, faculty, staff, and students of Miva Open University to the inaugural public lecture. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Chancellor, Professor Tayo Aruloko. To the next item on the agenda is the Chairman's remarks. Please make welcome Professor Julius A. Okoje, OOM, as he comes to give his remarks.
I want to sit down. You want to sit?
The new sheriff in town, let me adopt the existing protocol. It's my pleasure to be here, and I think it would have been a more pleasurable day of what happened recently. Let me say, I will just make some remarks so I don't go into the in-depth of what my successor in office is going to give. I've learned not to talk too much, but I'm happy to be here. And congratulate Miva Open University for taking the over the hand. What you have done is to introduce yourself to the public. And I'm sure that by the time you stand on this side, you'll be bold enough to go further. Let me confess, as the NUC, I didn't quite like the idea of public or private open university. We were still battling with the traditional open university and the digital learning system in the university system. We had a very poor experience with the private universities. At some point, there was so much pressure and we had problem trying to manage them. I recall at one point we drew the license of 7 private universities. So I did not favor the existence of, I'm confessing now, of private open university until I left the system. But my ears were close to the ground to see what was happening. When I was told that they were ready to take off, I said, look, I think I have tried enough to encourage the desire to be on for that long, and that the people I was leaving behind have bought into my vision. So now this is the product of that vision itself. I can relate the system itself. Now, what are the university administrators? If you look at the organogram of the university, the principal officers, it would talk about the chancellor, and there's a flow down to the vice chancellor. The private university have what they call the board of trustees. I may go to say that at some point I had to introduce that we have no way of knowing where to place that particular organ in the system. The university is the most organized setting itself. There's no system as well organized as that. Even from medieval times, although universities originally were for the training of priests, it has developed into a big establishment itself, a community of teachers and learners. So what we have today is a product of the development that happened. Below the chancellor, you have other officers, vice chancellor. They have their own responsibility, which are defined by the University Act, Miscellaneous Amendment Act of 2003, which I benefited from. That one laid to rest the issue of tenure of vice chancellors. We also taught that other 7 and what have you. If you go into the books, I find that Professor Ayobanjo, of blessed memory, was the longest serving vice chancellor in those old days. 8 years, because he had 1 year to act, 4 years first term, and 3 years to follow. Whereas, if you go to institutions like Yale, 16 years of vice chancellorship is nothing. And there's a record in America of 36 years. We will say now that because of the need for expansion, the desire for university education, we have 2 issues that we're addressing the issue of the segment of universities, and even spread and access, quality access. what Open University, private open universities have come to do is to add that value to those systems. I must say, what we are witnessing today is a new development. I expect the new sheriff in town to tell us the details about where we are with respect to the performance of education system and the use of developing technologies. Because you can keep pace with developing technologies, then you're going to have problems yourself. When I was in Yale, we had what do you call it now, computer split unit system. Two systems merging a processing unit. That was the best we had. But here now, today, with a phone, you can do everything you want. Virtual meeting and what else have you. But what are the challenges of the open university system? Perception is a big issue about it. Have we come to accept it itself? Because for a long time, we were battling with the National Open University of Nigeria. We started with nursing system until we had that put in place. It was difficult. Then President Obasanjo had to himself take a diploma first and end a degree PhD there to let people know that the Open University is just like any other university. The sheriff in town will tell you we're going to Arizona Online is the biggest, one of the biggest open university systems in the world. So access is, we're first still battling to accept the quality of some private universities. So with time and with developing technology, the concept of open distance learning will be properly accepted. By the time you have that in place, I think education will be for the better for all. So today, let me congratulate Miva for taking the bull by the hand. And do hope that you have a success about your investment, and the children that are graduating from there will be the best and best taught for you. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you very much, Professor Julius A. Okoje, for that short remark. The next item on the agenda is the remarks by the Chancellor of the University. Please make your
Good afternoon. It's such a privilege being here today. The past year has been one dream after the other coming true, and it's to be here in this room today with members of the Commission and in front of all of you is really a dream come true for us at Miva. So let me take a moment first to pay my respect and greetings, firstly to Chairman of the occasion, Professor Julius Okoje, the former Executive Secretary of the NUC for a decade, and the former Vice Chancellor of Bells University, Ota, and the Federal University of Agriculture, Abuja. And if you've not had the pleasure of meeting him, you will know very quickly that this is a great mind in the first few minutes of talking to him, and just a fine, fine gentleman. Also, the special guest lecturer, the Acting Executive Secretary of the NUC, Mr. Chris Maiyaki, who I have to say, in all sincerity, his desire and insistence on doing things right is only matched by his appetite for innovation, which is why we're here today. Also a very fine gentleman. Dr. Noel Saliu, the Deputy Executive Secretary of the NUC, and the Goodwill Message presenter, Emeritus Professor Olugbemiro Jegede, who can't be with us today, but in many ways was a pioneer in ODL, and they often talk about standing on the shoulder of giants. In this case, we can fairly say that Emeritus Professor Jegede is the giant on whose shoulders we stand on. He's the Foundation Vice Chancellor of the National Open University of Nigeria. And then, of course, the Vice Chancellor of Miva, Professor Tayo Rulogun, my brother and friend, directors of the NUC departments, members of the Miva management, the academic and the non-academic staff, my colleagues who have joined me on this journey to contribute our humble quota in improving education in our country. Vice chancellors and officials of invited universities, NUC staff members, members of the press, and all other attendees. Tertiary education is a key lever for building thriving economies, and it is trite at this point. Everybody talks about if we're going to move forward, one of the key levers we're going to have to turn is education. And I think it's fair to say that a critical component of that is tertiary education. Digital technologies which emerged 40, 50 years ago are now maturing enough to birth concepts like ODL that are now more than concepts. And this has been recognized now. It's mature enough to have been recognized by the United Nations Education, Cultural, and Scientific Organization, UNESCO, as, quote, a force contributing to social and economic development and an accepted and indispensable part of mainstream education. We can't do without ODL in the context of the challenges that we're facing. ODL is a revolution in tertiary education in Nigeria, and it is key to us meeting some challenges. So permit me to share some data points, and sometimes numbers are just numbers, but just take a moment to digest these numbers because they speak, I think, to the challenges that ODL seeks to address. I'm going to highlight 5 countries, their population, the number of universities in those countries, and gross enrollment, which would be a percentage of enrollment of population. All of these countries have similar characteristics in the sense that these are very large populations. So let's start out with Indonesia, 279 million people, 3,277 universities, with a gross enrollment percentage of 43%. Brazil, 217 million people, 1,264 universities, with an enrollment penetration of 60%. The United States of America, 341 million people, 3,180 universities, penetration 79%. Mexico, 129 million, with 1,139 universities and a penetration of 46%. And then our dear Nigeria, 229 million, growing faster than any of these countries I have mentioned. We are adding, I believe, the country of, well, at least half of the country of Norway every year, with 278 universities and a penetration of 13%. We are projected to add 120 million people by 2050. Now, so what has driven this gross enrollment figures? In my interactions with this regulator, with this universities commission, it is not for a desire, a lack of a desire to push things forward. I think research had to be done. We had to move forward aggressively but carefully with concepts such as ODL, and now that we've embraced it, I want to thank the Commission for embracing it fully with the licensing of ourselves and our peer institutions over the past year, and I believe more are coming on the horizon. And it's only collectively we'll tackle this 13% that Nigeria sits at. The only sustainable way, I think, for Nigeria to build is a workforce that is sufficient in quantity and quality to achieve our national goals, and we have lofty goals, is through ODL. And this is why we have embraced it fully at Miva. So I want to thank the NUC again for leading the charge to institutionalize ODL in tertiary education by licensing private operators. I acknowledge the incredible work of the chairman. Your cynicism was founded in the beginning, as you said in your confession earlier. I think there was a basis for cynicism because of the type of responsibility that you carried. But I want to thank you for your reforms during this decade-long tenure as the Executive Secretary of the NUC and your achievements, first of all, in the creation of the Nigerian University System Statistical Digest, very critical, and also the licensing of 60 new private universities. Your shoulders are also speak to the fact that you're a giant on whose shoulders we stand on. I want to acknowledge the acting executive secretary, Mr. Chris Maiyaki, for his dogged support of ODL and for pushing Miva along and serving very much as that coach that wants to see you succeed but does not allow you to operate at less than desirable standards. He has pushed us along, he has been incredibly supportive, but he has never let us be lax or be lower in quality, such that I think over the past few weeks, there have been policy pronouncements now that ODL degrees are the equivalent of traditional degrees. And I think a large part of that, if my colleagues and I will be so bold as to take some credit, is because ourselves and our peer institutions have really led the charge in showing that ODL can work. I'm grateful to Professor Jegede for delivering a goodwill message. Before I ventured into this industry, Professor Jegede was somebody that you kind of perceived as, in the sky, just an intellectual giant. And I understand that he retains that spirit of innovation and curiosity even till today. My appreciation goes out to the work and support of the board, management, and staff of NUC. I can't name all of you here, but I've had the privilege of meeting all of you, and many of you over the past year and a half. And it has really been a privilege. Just like the acting executive secretary, you've held us to very high standards while being supportive. And I'm immensely grateful. God will bless you all. I appreciate the vice chancellors of the Nigerian universities for gallantly driving innovation. The thing I really like about this particular segment of education and this industry, if I can call it an industry, is that collaboration is so important. And we have seen the spirit of that in dealing with our fellow institutions. The vice chancellors and the management of various educational institutions, tertiary institutions across the country, have always been willing to lend a hand, willing to lend advice, and to guide us as we've built Miva. So finally, a call to action. As we advance into an unprecedented era of human endeavor in this country, we as educators, and that is a solemn title, educators, are effectively guardians of the future. And I think even more than that, we are custodians of the future of our society. We must embrace healthy competition and collaboration to build a qualitative, robust, and dynamic tertiary educational system. We must ask the right questions and be open to change. We must be open to criticism. We must be open to always do things better every single day. And together we can lead Nigeria into a new age of economic, social, and infrastructural prosperity. I believe that the goals we must set ourselves is not just to educate the population that we have, but to show the world that even though ODL might have been pioneered in other places, this is where it will really show its power. And this is a responsibility that we, at least at Miva, we take solemnly and very seriously. So thank you very much.
I believe the Chancellor deserves more than the applause to him. Thank you very much, the Chancellor of Miva Open University, for that resounding remark. From the welcome address to the Vice Chancellor, to the Chairman's opening remarks, and the Chancellor's remark, we are gradually inching closer and closer to the business of the day. I would like to say that as we gather here today to discuss the future of higher education, we should be reminded of the words of Malcolm X. Education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. This quote beautifully captures the essence of today's public lecture, because education is no exception in a world where technology is transforming every aspect of our lives. The traditional boundaries of classrooms are dissolving, giving rise to a more inclusive, flexible, and accessible model of learning. To introduce the speaker for today's lecture, I would like to call on the Registrar, Miva Open University, Ihan Aputi.
the chairman of today's occasion, Professor Emeritus Julius Okoje, distinguished guest speaker and the acting executive secretary of the National Universities Commission, the chancellor, Miva of the University, vice chancellor, the deputy executive secretary of the NUC, and our most distinguished guests. With your permission, Mr. Chairman, I will read the citation for today's guest speaker. Christopher J. Maiyaki undertook his undergraduate and postgraduate studies in international relations, law and diplomacy at the famous Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, and the University of Jos Plateau State. Maiyaki, in his impressive career trajectory spanning over 3 decades, acquired considerable solid organizational, operational, and administrative skills, having received several trainings from programs within and outside the country, such as the Oxford AED bespoke programs on change management in higher education, university governance and leadership, as well as leadership in higher education. Others pertaining to international affairs and education planning, accreditation and quality assurance, partnerships and collaboration, procurement and project management, computer application in human resource management, all tailored around the specifics of higher education management, regulation, and knowledge. It is noteworthy that he started well over 3 decades ago his remarkable career in the civil service as a young administrative officer with the policy and administrative arm of the Cabinet Office located in the Governor's Office in Jos Plateau State. Subsequently, he joined the National Universities Commission on Inter-Service Transfer, whereupon the good recommendation of the interview panel, he was later appointed as the Administrative Secretary for the World Bank Implementation Unit based in the National Universities Commission. At the expiration of that project, which was adjudged to be one of the best administered in World Bank education portfolio in Nigeria, Maiyaki was redeployed from 1996 to work in various arms of the National Universities Commission, where he has fulfilled several secondary and primary leadership functions. He rose through the ranks to the post of a director, but was later elevated to the post of a Deputy Executive Secretary Administration in October 2020. Subsequent to this, in June 2023, he was handed over the mantle to lead the National Universities Commission, being the next most senior officer following the voluntary stepping down of the former Executive Secretary, distinguished Professor Abubakar Adamu Rashid. That the NUC has gained the momentum and stability, visibility, and steady progress under Mayaki's watch is a testament of to his innovative power, indescribable loyalty, institutional memory, and shared hard work needed for the advancement of NUC's regulatory and coordination citadel. Maiyaki is a passionate and clear-headed and roundly educated administrator. His indelible footprints are etched in the NUC's history, leaving an enduring legacy for generations to come. He has always participated actively in NUC's internationalization efforts and the promotion of bilateral cooperation between the Nigerian university system, development partners, and diplomatic missions located in Nigeria and beyond. He served as the NUC's contact point and desk officer for UNESCO, Association of Commonwealth Universities, British Council, Council for Higher Education Accreditation, Quality Assurance Agency, Campus France, including a myriad of educational institutions and sister regulatory agencies.
Since his assumption as the acting executive secretary, he has brought to bear his wealth of experience, notably the colloquium on the newly launched core curriculum minimum academic standards, CCMAS, which has brought the needed revolution to the Nigerian university system. The NUC guidelines on open distance learning, which bettered what is happening here today, and the review of the unit cost analysis of federal universities, and the conservation of the guidelines on the transnational education, TNE, in Nigeria. Maiyaki superintended the secretariat of the NUC linkages with experts and academics in the diaspora, under which auspices experts and academics of Nigerian extraction based overseas were engaged back home in teaching, research, and community action. He has also played an important role in the secretariat for the implementation of the NYSC presidential honors, as well as the Presidential Scholarship Scheme for Innovation and Development. To his credit, Maiyaki, in liaison with the public affairs section of the American Embassy over the years, successfully anchored the International Visitor Leadership Program for newly appointed Vice Chancellors to undertake on-the-spot assessment of the challenges of higher education in the United States of America, being the largest system in the world. He has equally facilitated several other study visits, meetings, and conferences, all aimed at improving the executive capacities of university managers in conjunction with the British Council, UNESCO, African Union, ECOWAS, Association of Commonwealth Universities, European Union Delegation to Nigeria, Quality Assurance Agency, Oxford Academy of Education and Development, as well as the Turkish higher education community. Maiyaki is a distinguished member of the International Advisory Committee of the Quality Assurance Agency of the United Kingdom and co-chair UK-Nigeria National Committee on Transnational Education. He is married with 3 children, widely traveled, and in addition, I'm sure most of us can attest to this, he speaks, he says here some, but I say many, international and local languages. He's going to engage you in your local document, in your local language. Just try it, which is really remarkable. His hobbies include international and current affairs, football, and reading. Mr. Chairman, with your permission again, while we give a round of ovation, may we welcome our distinguished speaker for today, Chris Maiyaki, Acting Executive Secretary, National University Commission.
Thank you. Please sit down, please. Please sit down, please. Thank you. Thank you very much, Registrar Ihani Abiti and wearing my driving belt. Thank you very much. Let me start by recognizing the doing of university education in Nigeria, our boss, our benefactor, our father, a man of immense character and shared humanity, Professor Julius Miva. Many gathered here will recall that in the 70s, in the 80s, and in the early 90s, Nigeria produced a celebrity class of renowned administrators. teaching academics and researchers and humanists. And you all agree that this class was so acclaimed in their presence and power at a time when there was a gradual decline in the intellectual space. And this led in part to the debate as to whether the generation after this class was not so acclaimed and so powerful. However, we're lucky that among the few that stood up as outstanding persons of that class who have shown huge passion, sustained interest, and brought significant respect to the academy and the current of power in the likes of Professor Julius Miva Okoti. So I want to thank you for accepting to chair this occasion. So many things happened during the past few days, and we cannot thank you enough. I want to acknowledge my brother, my friend, and now strategic partner, the Chancellor, Simdo Shagaya. If you follow the then Vice President, Professor Yemi Oshibanjo, he had this jingle about a serial entrepreneur. That's Simdo Shagaya. The founder of Conga, the founder of New Lessons, among several other things that Simdo Shagaya. But behind every serial entrepreneur is another serial medical doctor. And his beloved wife is Dr. Antonia. Could you please stand up? Dr. Antonia Shagaya. Yeah, she's here to accompany you. I want to acknowledge Professor, my brother, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Tayo Arolo Kuru. Ihani has just spoken, the registrar, principal officers of Miva, management and staff and students of Miva, all present here. I want to acknowledge my brother, my friend forever, Dr. Noel Bjorn Samuel, the gentle giant, the resident bishop, an asset, and has always been an asset to the National Universities Commission. We thank you for your service. I want to acknowledge the director of the National Universities Commission who are here in their numbers. I want to acknowledge the great and vibrant NUC community all gathered here. I'm given to understand that there are vice chancellors, there are university leaders, there are guests from the university system here present. I want to acknowledge you especially. I want to acknowledge the staff of Miva. They are here in their numbers. Members of the fourth estate of the realm, our friends from the media. I want to acknowledge each and every one of you, all invited guests, all protocols duly observed. Mr. Chairman, before I proceed, I'd like to crave your kind indulgence. In the past, we had, in the NUC and the Nigerian university system, we had a very rough weekend following the demise of one of us, Ms. Ulona Udochi in Yama. I mean, anyone who does not know Ulona, who has not been impacted by Ulona, has not been to the Nigerian university space. I got a text from the country director of the British Council, Lucy Pearson, yesterday, and she was saddened to hear about a sudden death, that a young woman in her prime has been cut short. You know, and Lucy, she wrote this. She said, Chris, I recall with affection Ulona's warmth and the commitment to her role that she played on my many visits to the National Universities Commission. She conveys her condolences, and may I say with your kind permission, as we stand up, 1 minute, we observe 1 minute of silence to this great, tireless, hardworking, passionate staff of the National Universities Commission, our friend and our colleague. May her precious soul and the souls of the faithful departed find eternal comfort, and may we be comforted as a family. Thank you. Please sit down. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, sir, why are we here? And how did we come here today? 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, 3 weeks ago, there was a delegation of Miva University that paid a courtesy call to the premises of the NUC. And they came to discuss very important, very strategic issues to do with growing the nascent, newly activated open private university. And one of the issues that came up was the issue of administration, the issue of human resources at the new university, grappling with high turnover of staff movement, etc., etc. And they were looking for a speaker, somebody that would talk to the issues, and they wanted a venue also somewhere. They thought of the Yaradua Center, they thought of Hilton or wherever. And I said, well, if you do not find anybody to give this lecture, come to me. I'm more than happy to share my insights and my experience. And then we also went on to offer them this hall. And that's why if this lecture were to take place outside the NUC, we will all be there as guests. But as Providence will have it, we now have you in our premises. And that's the long and short of it. That's the long and short of it. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chairman, our boss, Professor Julius Miva Okoje, I consider it an immense privilege and a distinct honor to stand here to address this distinguished gathering of academics, administrators, and other stakeholders drawn from the Nigerian university system and even beyond. I think not everybody seated in this hall is from the Nigerian university system. I'd like to start by acknowledging the kindness of the founder and chancellor of Miva Open University, Simple Sharia, who graciously invited me to speak on this topic, which is not only timely, but also critical to the future of higher education in Nigeria. The title, The Changing Role of University Administration in an Open Distance Learning Setting. I'm super excited because the issues of administration, the issues of governance, the issues of operation have continued to engage my attention throughout the course of my public service career trajectory, spanning well over 3 decades, both at the NUC and at the Cabinet Office and the Governance Office of Plateau State, where I had a very brief stint. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we all agree that there is hardly anything meaningful that we can render, whether at the micro or at the macro level, without a virile, without a functional and a fit for purpose governance, administrative and management able system. I salute the Vice Chancellor, his management team of Miva, staff and students of Miva Open University. I also commend your diligence and your willingness to be informed partners in the business, in the enterprise of growing our universities to global standards. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this presentation will underscore the fact that the provision of universal access to education is a priority to all nations. And Nigeria, as a nation, acknowledges this responsibility and will spare no effort at delivering quality education to its citizens. Government, I must add, remains determined to achieve this despite the many challenges facing being encountered at the moment. And the objective of the lecture or the presentation, among others, to critically analyze the evolving responsibilities and challenges being faced by university administrators, to explore the some innovative administrative strategies and framework and to evaluate the impact of technological have been conversed. You heard from the chairman, from the registrar, from the chancellor. The advent of technology has come with a bang, and each and every learning and teaching culture is impacted one way or the other. And we also hope that at the end of this lecture, we will create an atmosphere, an environment to facilitate the comprehensive dialogue among academics, among administrators and stakeholders on the policy implications of ODL. Now, some background information, some historical perspectives. I think that in talking about the role of the administrator in an ODL setting, I think and I believe that it is very helpful to do a preview of the evolution of the contemporary Nigerian university system. I mean, I think 60% of the people I see, the faces I see in this hall, forgive my use of this language, are greyhounds, including even some of the NUC staff who don't remember who Professor Idris Abdul Qadir is, or Professor Munzali Jibril, or Professor Peter Okebukola. I think the board member also came, this is your father, give him a big round of applause. Most of the staff is here were recruited by this man, Professor Julius Okode, and then you would have had a long time with Professor Abubakar Adamu Rashid. One piece of history that Ehani did not capture or Nkechi did not capture is that Professor Julius Okode shares the same page of history with Professor Idris Abdul Qadir, the only ESs that served 2 terms and 10 years, at the National University Commission. And so, history has it that higher education in Nigeria dates back to the 19th century. I think because the past is in the eyes of the present, it's important that we give you some historical background, because the staff of Miva, some of you, I think you're starting your career for the first time. You have no idea what this system that has been well built by the founding fathers, where it started from. I think you should know that higher education in Nigeria dates back to the 19th century, when Nigerians sought opportunities to acquire the golden fleece, which was only available overseas at that time. The chairman mentioned Professor Ayo Banjo of blessed memory, our late chairman of the board. If you read his biography, you will see that he graduated from some university in 1934. And then the licensed Chief Afema Bola also acquired the LLB through correspondence. In those days, this is the history, these things were available only overseas. Now, the colonial government, in responding to the pressures generated by this hunger for knowledge and progress from the emergent national movements, established the Yaba College of, Higher College in 1932. But that was very restricted, because Yaba Tech was only to provide well-qualified, assistance, principally in medical, engineering, and other vocational disciplines, as well as provide teachers for secondary schools, then known as higher middle schools. But we are also told, history has it that Yaba College offers some degree courses in engineering, in medicine, agriculture, and teacher education. And there's some doctors here, they were long-standing doctors, they all started, this degree courses in medicine from Yaba College. And we're also told, history has it that the restricted scope of Yaba College and, coupled with the increasing demand for skilled manpower, led to the setting up of the Elliott Commission. And this Elliott Commission went on to recommend the establishment of the University College in Nigeria, the University of Ibadan. Daniel Okoje is always proud, to say that he went to the University of Ibadan as a premier university in Nigeria. It was founded in 1948 as an offshoot of the University of London. But so, piece of history, the miscalculation by the colonial government was that 3 universities would suffice for the British English West Africa. one in Sierra Leone, another one in Miva in Ghana, and another one in Ibadan. Now the rest is history. Now you know they miscalculated, they misunderstood the dynamics of what the higher education landscape was going to look like. And thus, in 1948, the University College Ibadan, along with Sierra Leone and Ghana, were established, as residential and tutorial college. Now, the bedrock of the expansion of higher education in Nigeria could be appropriately attributed to the settlement of the Ashby Commission in April of 1958, with a specific mandate to explore the form and nature of higher education needs in Nigeria in the wake of Nigeria's independence. The report of that Ashby Commission gave rise to what has now become the first generation universities. University of Nigeria, Sugar, 1960, as an option of the Michigan State University as a land-grant institution. University of Ife, which is now Obafemi Awolowo University, 1962. Abedolo University, 1962. University of Lagos, 1962, and the University of Benin sprang out of the Midwest Institute of Technology in 1970. In the mid-70s, the yearning hunger for university education continued, and the federal government, having taken over the regional universities, now founded the Seven Sisters in Calabar, in Port Harcourt, in Ilorin, in Kano, in Sokoto, in Jos, and where else again, Maiduguri. And this is how the system kept growing exponentially. And it was not until in the late 70s that the Rivers State University of Science and Technology kick-started the new wave of state-owned universities. Mind you, this is more so because education is on the concurrent list. It makes the federal government, the state governments, public spirited individuals, faith-based institutions at liberty to establish universities. And the long and short of it is that today we have 274 universities, 62 of them are federally owned, public funded, 64 are owned by the state government. Just yesterday we issued a letter of recognition to the Kwara State government, the new Kwara State University of Education. And then we have 148 private universities. And we're still counting. I want to use this opportunity to explain that we will, as a matter of deliberate policy, continue to expand access to university education. And as you heard from the Chancellor's remarks, Nigeria is the only country within its population bracket that is highly under-subscribed. You heard the story of the US, 300 million, 5,500 universities, Brazil, Indonesia, Russia, don't talk about China and India, because those ones are in the 1 billion mark. Therefore, as a matter of deliberate policy, we will massify university education, but with a caveat, with an annotation, not at the expense of quality. Not at the expense of quality. And then, in a nutshell, I can say that the university system in Nigeria has undergone the following metamorphosis. The manpower, skills substitution stage, as you heard in the days of Yaba College, the economic response stage that is meeting the needs of an expanding economy, the democratization stage, the political response stage, and the privatization stage. This is the father of modern private universities in Nigeria, Professor Julius Miva Abuja. We started in 1999 with 4 private universities, but one was not to see the light of the day, and the rest is now history. And I think in talking about the evolution of Nigerian universities, it's good to look at the reputation, the reputational issues of the Nigerian university brand. And history also has it that in the early decades of the Nigerian university system, we witnessed remarkable achievements. At that time, graduates from the system were reputed, both nationally and globally, for skills that placed them, high up there on international scales of evaluation. I mean, at that time, if you made a first class from Nigeria, everything was automatic. You were admitted into Oxford and Cambridge for your PhD. You went straight to Yale, to Harvard, to Cornell or to Princeton. You went straight, to do your PhD. However, in the last 3 decades, the Nigerian university system began to experience a disturbing decline due to a combination of so many factors. Factors beyond our control, factors to do with the lower levels, factors to do with policy, factors to do with funding, factors to do with political decisions, led to the decline, the decline of the fortunes of the Nigerian university system. Central to all this is the belief and the compelling evidence that eroded ethics, weak administrative and governance structures, have been partly responsible for the decline. However, may I sound a note of optimism that not all hope is lost, as we have some good and cheering news to report. And it goes like this. In 2022, Nigeria, according to the Times Higher Education ranking, as a whole had a strong year in the 2022 edition of that THE World Rankings, having shown positive improvement as one of the standout nations on various performance indicators. Overall, Nigeria was adjudged to be the 6th most improved country in the rankings between 2021 and 2022, showing greatly improved scores for research productivity and for research impact and influence among others. I told you, clap for the Nigerian university system. And just this year, we have some fascinating data on Nigeria's sustainability and societal impact to share. In June 2024, the Times Higher Education released the 6th edition of its impact ranking, which assesses the university's contribution to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. At the end of that keenly contested peer review, Afe Babalola University was pronounced and rated the 200th best university in the impact ranking all over the world. We like to refer to use ranking as a moderating parameter because rankings are very important drivers towards improving quality based on a healthy peer review and comparative analysis. In fact, as I speak, the boss, Professor Julius Miva, is here. One intervention of the Goodluck Jonathan era that has been underreported was a presidential special scholarship on innovation and development, where Nigerian kids, Nigerian graduates, first class graduates of Nigerian extraction, you can call them from the ashes, went out there to rule and conquer the world. We visited all of them in Yale, in Columbia, in Oxford. They all had distinction. And therefore, all hope is not lost. In fact, the worst thing that can happen to us is to lose hope about Nigeria and about the Nigerian university system. Now, what is the structure of a university administration? I'm gradually coming to the meat of why we're gathered here today. A university, as I always say to my colleagues jokingly, a university is a unique animal. It's not a polytechnic. It's not a college of education. It's not a nursery school. It's not kindergarten. It's not a primary school. The university is a well-structured organization in which powers and responsibilities are delineated in accordance with the stipulations of the extant law or charter. So you don't walk into a university, the law is not an emotional pact. Every university is chartered by law, is founded on something that must be properly guided. You can't just wake up and, mere wishful thinking and say you want to do this. No. Even the National Universities Commission is guided by law. The university operates in 2 major components, administration and academic. By the way, let me apologize. I should have done a PowerPoint. But last night, when I looked at the PowerPoint that I asked to be derived from the text, I did not see the full representation. I was not satisfied. And I worked overnight again over the text. And, you know, one of my colleagues sent me some points which I thought were very useful, and therefore I apologize. But I assure you that this paper will be cleaned up and distributed to all staff of the National University Commission, all staff of Miva, and all the participants drawn from the various universities who are here. We will make sure that you get copies of this, you know, this lecture. So the university operates in two components: the administration and the academic. While both components are under the general supervision of the council, the governing council, the university with active commitment of its board of trustees, as in the case of Miva, you know, is under the control of the Senate, of which the vice chancellor is the chairman. Here in our midst is a two-time vice chancellor, Professor Julius Amiwa Okoje, having served as the second, creditably served as the second vice chancellor of the Federal University of Agriculture of Abuja, and having served as a founding pioneer vice chancellor of Bells University of Science and Technology. This man don't serve the system on, no be today. Yeah? Yeah. So you see that the Senate is under the chairmanship of the vice chancellor, which is the highest authority on, you know, on academic matters. All programs, all courses, all degrees, diplomas, and certificates of the university must, you know, by the provision of the law, be approved by the university senate. Of course, the vice chancellor is also the chief administrative, the chief accounting officer, among several other things. I mean, the board stop on the table of the vice chancellor, and then the registrar, who is the principal administrative officer. Do you feel like the principal administrative officer? You do feel, okay, behind Akwiti. Okay, so that's what the registrar is. He's responsible to the vice chancellor. One day, we were visiting the US, we normally would take fish in Abuja, and the registrar had just left the roads in Maryland, and we came with fish and said, "Ah, good, you're from Nigeria." We just hosted a cohort of registrars who claimed that they were the bosses in the Nigerian university system. And there we deployed that assertion and corrected it and strengthened the record that there is no way, under no illusion, that the registrar can be the boss of the vice chancellor. The registrar, is responsible to the VC for the day-to-day administrative workflow in the university. And his effectiveness, like Iran here, can be measured only in terms of the institutional goals and the extent to which these are met to the satisfaction of all stakeholders. The registrar plays all kinds of roles. I do not want to bother you, but we also have it that other top management officials include, but are not restricted to the bursar, to the university librarian, to the is your bursar here? The bursar. Director of physical planning, director of works, director of economic planning, teams, provosts, HODs. Nowadays we have directors of quality assurance, director of advancement, director of student affairs, etc. Now, what are the functions of a university administrator? We have to keep cascading because you need to understand the functions of the university administrator before you talk about an administrator in the ODL, because administration is a cross-cutting issue. As a general concept, administration means the day-to-day management of the affairs of an organization. I see one, top administrator here, Mr. John Merafi Amado, is shaking his head. When I said, as a general concept, administration means the day-to-day management of the affairs of an organization. It is the means by which the objectives, every organization is driven by its objectives. The policies and programs of that organization are translated into concrete actions. In a university administration, administration is usually and largely about ensuring compliance with rules and procedures. This morning we were in management, we were looking at the conformity or deviation or otherwise of the extant regulations. And University administration is generally conceived as having the following attributes. That means for you to qualify as a university administration, you must demonstrate the following attributes. Planning. I mean, you can't just wake up and come to the NUC to work and go back home without, having some plans behind you. I mean, it's inconceivable. It's a waste of time. It's suicidal for you not to have a plan, which is a process. Planning being that process of, thank you. Yeah, being that process of, he didn't open it. He's going to give me another job again. The planning again, is a planning, which is a process of making decisions in advance about objectives, about policies, about procedures and programs from among other alternatives. It is essentially the predetermination of the future. I mean, we spoke about the past in the eyes of the present, and probably the present will be the defining moment, that game-changing moment for the future. That is what planning does. Beyond where we are today, where do we expect to be tomorrow? In the succeeding weeks, the next succeeding months and years. And then organization, the act of coordinating and ensuring coordination for the purpose of attaining desired goals. And then direction. I mean, imagine if the staff of Miva have no direction. Everybody just wakes up and does whatever he thinks it's according to his whims and caprice. There will be caprices, there will be anarchy, there will be lawlessness from the gate, to right into the hall. And that's what direction is, and which is the element of supervision. I mean, you can't have an administrative outfit without supervision. It means that's tantamount to illegality and anomaly, lawlessness, motivation, inspection of subordinates and participants, all in the process of obtaining the objectives of an institution. And I spoke about control, which is an act of ensuring discipline, efficiency, and due diligence. I mean, if you are not diligent, day in, day out, we have seen, we have paid the price for lack of diligence, and we have also been rewarded, for ensuring that we carry out our business in the most diligent fashion. And I also think that administration function will involve proper, durable, reliable, accurate record keeping, documentation, repository of legacy documents, and their facilitation, including maintaining the institutional memory. A lot of people have come and gone, but what keeps an organization going is institutional memory. Now, the function of administrative staff, as I mentioned, is rooted in the multiplicity of assignments, which include planning and preparing projects, academic programs, teaching, assistant academic staff in their research projects, preparation of calendar, timetables, and conduct of examinations. The functions of administrative staff will also include committee assignments and services of various meetings, board secretariats, council meetings, from the biggest to the smallest units of the universities. And let me sound, Chairman, sir, distinguished invited guests, although we have used the term here, administrative staff, it should be noted that the idea percolates from the highest, such as the vice chancellor, to any staff, be it academic or non-academic, who are given an administrative assignment in the university. In the Nigerian university system, there are no functions that are exclusive to the administrative division alone. Those who claim that we're the careers, we're administrative careers, where the GO, the general order, if you remember the general order, what it is, there are no functions that are exclusive to the administrative divisions. Universities would normally operate in a committee system in which academics tend to dominate while administrators serve in secretarial capacity. Hence, these essential components of administration are handled almost exclusively by the administrative division. Therefore, distinguished colleagues, friends, the eclectic nature of administration in the university system will account for the history of generations of academics who have also been distinguished administrators, and who else can, be a true testament of this connotation, of this definition our dear Professor Julius Miva, having served as a researcher, wanted to become an administrator, came to the NUC, left his footprint at the lecture of Professor Peter Okemukul, at the lecture of Professor Abubakar Adamu Rashid. We have the likes of Ambassador Ali, a brilliant registrar of ABU who came also here as ES Professor Munzali Jibril, and you can find ministers who came from the academy, Minister Adole, so many, Jibril Aminu, they all came from the academia, and they became effective administrators in positions outside the ivory towers. Now, we're inching forward gradually. What is, open and distance learning? I think what transformed into distance education in the 70s and 80s, now known as distance and e-learning, began as correspondence study in the 18th century. I've earned myself a glass of water. I think I alluded to degree by correspondence of Afibabalola. Afibabalola didn't go into a formal setting. Look at what has turned out to be. He has trained nearly 26 senior advocates, from his chamber, the parent of our forefathers who had access to university, Throughout its history, distance education has been referred to as home study, off-campus, independent study, distance study, telematic study, etc., etc. But I think the most impact to distance education is the significant impact of information and communications technology, and we're told that this rebranding, as we evolve will continue. However, it is important at this stage to focus on the substance and content of ODL rather than its name, because despite these numerous transformations, this evolution, the core essence of ODL remain unchanged. It is that cost-effective method education that transcends time, that transcends location, space, and that is suitable for diverse educational contexts, including primary, secondary, tertiary, vocational, and non-formal. It is also that flexible, learner-centered, more beyond the traditional brick and mortar and classroom boundaries. The open aspect of ODL pertains to the flexibility and accessibility of education, ensuring broad availability without barriers, the suppression of barriers to, between the learner and the teacher. I think is a hallmark of ODL. And here I will skip the benefits of ODL accessibility for diverse learners. With ODL, we are assured that we'll be able to attempt to bridge the gap, the huge gap between demand and supply. I think the statistics has it that nearly 2 million Nigerian children apply every year to go to university. But the 200 and now 74 universities put together can only accommodate between 500 and 700,000, and that is not good enough. And we hope that through ODL will broaden access, and make sure that we allow more people to have access to university education. We can accommodate people of special needs, and then if you have been following now, even prisoners now graduate from the prison, they call it the correctional service, isn't it? Yeah, this is what ODL can do. The advantage of the flexibility in learning schedules is there. There is reduced infrastructure cost. There is affordability for students. We hope there's enhanced lifelong learning opportunities among other benefits that there are. I think in Nigeria, the adopted model of ODL is the ICT-enabled supported blended learning model, and it has all kinds of features from centrality of learning materials to mixed media deployment, timely and meaningful feedback, etc., etc. I'm not sure if I mentioned that we have 5 open universities in Nigeria. 5, I'm not sure I mentioned that. We have the National Open University of Nigeria, is the largest, but during the course of approving private universities, we now have Miva, which came into being in 2023. We have Miva, we have Al-Muhiba, Open University in Abuja, we have iconic Open University in Sokoto, and we have the West Midlands Open University in Ibadan. We made sure that Professor Okoje finished his tenure, before we approve this open private. Now, what are the changing roles of university administrators in an ODL setting? I note here that historically, university, as we have heard in my previous submission, university administrators were primarily concerned with on-campus operations, including student affairs, academic planning, what else? Facility management. In the context of ODL, these roles have expanded to address new challenges and opportunities. Administrators must, out of necessity now, manage virtual learning environments. They must be involved with providing much needed support to remote learners and oversee the digital and ICT infrastructure. The administrator in an ODL ecosystem must create a strategic plan and develop policies that integrate ODL into the broader educational objectives of the university and govern its operations in the areas of quality assurance, admission processes, policy formulation, curriculum, assessment, student support services, infrastructure development, and faculty support. I have also argued here that administrators of ODL institutions must demonstrate leadership with verifiable evidence of addressing concerns that affect teaching, learning and research, as well as support for staff and students at study centers. It is crucial, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in confronting the challenges of the ever-increasing demand for tertiary education, particularly at the university level in Nigeria, that the administrator, works so hard to bridge the gap between demand and supply. And what are some of the strategic roles of university administrators in contemporary ODL? Policy formulation and strategic planning. I will not bore you. These are things I have taken a look at, even as I was looking at the administrator in a normal, conventional, setting. The administrator is very crucial in the process of policy formulation and strategic planning in infrastructural development, and now more than ever in learner support services. I mean, you can't be proud to be an administrator in an ODL setting if you are not applying yourself fully to all the tasks implicit in providing learner support services. And now I want to take us to the National University Commission. When you talk about promoting the expansion of university education, I think the NUC, which has been empowered by law, I use this occasion to remind us that the NUC, having started in 1962, became a full-fledged commission in 1974. And we are empowered by law. We have been saddled with this very strategic and vital responsibility. And Chairman, I always use occasions like this to warn that we're not contemplating abdicating this responsibility to any professional body, to any other entity, but to fully, evolve our powers as the, flagship regulatory agency for the orderly development of university education. And we do this through many instruments, setting up the minimum standards, resource assessment, accreditation, licensing private universities, and general policy formulation and implementation. And therefore, consistent with our role as a regulatory agency, the NUC has continued to encourage the establishment of distance learning centers. Dr. Morabish, how many DLCs do we have today? 23. 28 distance learning centers. Thank you very much. We also continue to carry out our quality assurance and accreditation activities. We do resource verification and accreditation of those open universities. Indeed, before you go to your stamp of authority to comment, your program we had to give you that stamp of authority, pre-validation, post-validation, general policy development and implementation. We recently consummated our guidelines on open distance learning in Nigeria, guidelines on transnational education. So, for the first time in the history of the Nigerian university system, foreign interest can now come to university and invest and help us to expand access to university education. And we have carefully set up for 6 comprehensive models. They can set up branch campuses. They can also undertake training articulation, set up teaching institutions, and they can actually acquire. For those who know the elsewhere Turkish Nigerian University, I was also attribute and give kudos to Professor Oboji there. He was the one who nurtured, who supported the emergence of the Nigerian Turkish University. But now it's no longer a Nigerian Turkish University. It's now Nigerian University because a foreign concession has acquired the university, either on lease or some arrangement. So we are ready for the war, but we will insist that we continue to uphold sanctity of quality. The whatever content that is coming into Nigeria is of comparable standards. Our guidelines on e-learning during the COVID-19, most universities were just doing what they felt was good for them, but there was no protocol. We were not sure who was writing whose exam, who was attending lecture remotely, and there's hardly anything you can do without the protocol. So we went ahead to do that. We also reject and improve our guidelines on the establishment of private universities, open universities, and those on open educational resources. We will continue to facilitate capacity building and training opportunities on ODL. I mean, this model is ICT driven, technology driven, and if we do not, invest, if we do not reconfigure our, broadband ICT provision, technological penetration, we will be operating at our own peril. And I always use a joke, and I'm sure it was from Professor Obuja that I heard, that the housewife, I think in America, has better broadband in her kitchen than a department in the Nigerian university system. I mean, just to paint the gloomy picture that a lot needs to be done if we want to genuinely, undertake ODL. Now, having identified the challenges and the problems, we are beginning, to wind up, but I will not, wind up without looking at the future, without, preferring, those issues, without sharing those issues require our attention. We need to aggressively, mount sensitization and awareness campaigns. We need to do that very urgently. I already spoke about the provision of emerging technologies, the need for adequate funding, Miva. I hope that you will always be guided by the need for you to provide, the solvency or otherwise of your operations. The funding priority is so key. Funding, financial sustainability, capacity building, collaboration and partnerships. I'd like to add innovative collaboration. And I also think that the administrative staff, especially those in Miva and the open universities, will require continuous training and retraining. They will require, tooling and retooling. They will require modern and administrative techniques, and skills, including exposure to best practices in order to cope with the ever-expanding nature of ODL. I must also say to my colleagues in the NUC and in Miva, the administrative staff, that being ICT literate, is no longer sufficient. The administrative staff must be prepared for full digital transformation. be proficient in the application of the relevant computer software, which pertains to the organization of virtual learning environment, organizing Zoom meetings. I mean, lectures of this nation should be big to the whole world. People, we don't have to fill up this hall, People can tap in from wherever they are. The administrative staff, and I'm also speaking to myself and to my colleagues and to the staff of Miva, we must do away with antiquated and counterproductive administrative bottlenecks. We must align ourselves with the style of leadership which fosters efficient and effective ODL delivery. The opposite of counterproductivity is, super productivity. I mean, your role in that organization is not to make it impossible for the organization to breathe, to survive, to succeed. It is for you to act as an equal stakeholder in your day-to-day, choices in whatever you do, so that this university name will surpass, will, outlive even its founding fathers. I already mentioned about carrying out advocacy and other forms of publicity, because there's this misgiving, there's this misconception about the parity of esteem between the degree obtained from the brick and mortar, mode and the ODL mode. I think the administrative staff have a duty, to sensitize, to attune the world as to the importance, as to the ascendancy, the rising profile of ODL, and the fact that there is no hiding place. Being a part of the government of the complex governance and management processes, the administrative staff must be a stakeholder. Professor Julius Okoje always told us that you will never be able to, you will never be served if you have never served. You will never be served if you have never served. It means that as an administrative staff, be it in NUC or in any university, or any Miva university or Al-Mahiba or Open University, you must, consider yourself as a stakeholder, because as Professor Koji always told us, each and every one of us, even as a driver, you can attract a lot of influence. So I always recall what you told us to your office, even as a clerk, even as a driver. And one story I always like to share is when I was part of the Nigerian delegation to Seoul in 2015, when the SDG number 4 was consummated by member countries. This taxi driver, who was so dutiful, who was so kind, who was so welcoming, I actually arrived in Seoul airport into his exceptional warm embrace, and I thought he worked so hard. He took me to the Sheraton downtown Seoul and made sure that I was checked in, made sure I got my room and my key. As he was going away, I put my finger into my top pocket, and I brought out a $20 bill to just say a token thank you. And at that point, the guy warned me, and he said, "Not in Korea." Yeah, he warned me. He said, "Not in Korea." I said, "But sorry, sir, I just want to say just a token thank you." Sir, I thought I warned you. Not in Korea. He told me. He explained to me. He said, "You know what? When he takes the $20 off me, I would have taken the dignity out of his labor." Yeah. He said, "I would have taken the dignity out of his labor." He said, yeah. So he said in Korea that the driver is as important as the president, because the president cannot do what the driver does. The teacher is equally important. So there is, beauty in being proud of who we are, wherever we found ourselves, in our little corners, we must, out of necessity, contribute, to the success of that entity. And I charge the staff of Miva, to be exemplary, to make sure that, and I pray that the management will also reward, outstanding performance. In conclusion, I want to say that the role of university administrators in an ODL setting is both challenging and rewarding. Of course, there's no such simple, ironclad, administrative function. It has to be challenging, it has to be rewarding. By embracing change by fostering innovation and upholding high standards of quality. Administrators can play a very significant role by ensuring that quality delivery and successful ODL programs, in a broader educational landscape, takes place meaningfully and productively. The administrative staff, I must say, is a facilitator, among others, who is expected to ensure that online and printed materials are accessible, makes and takes decisions. The administrative staff makes and takes decisions, manages, policies and programs, coordinates orientation, matriculation exercises, convocation, among other student centers activities. There will be no university if there are no students. There will be no university if there are no students. Miva ceases to exist if there are no students, same as National Open University of Nigeria. Therefore, the administrative staff must, be preoccupied with student-centered activities. Your Herculean task, I'm also speaking to myself as an administrator, requires dynamic, proactive, and a very vibrant disposition on the part of you as administrative staff. I mean, my colleagues, we always preach to each other. As an administrative staff, you must be worried about failure. You must be worried about failure. If I don't do this, what will happen to the organization? If I do that, what is the implication? You must be worried about failure. You must not leave the most important things at the mercy of, the least important things. As administrative staff, and I'm speaking to Miva staff now, you have now, and I know most of you are just beginning your diligence in the business of university administration. You are starting you've been given a major game-changing opportunity to transform the conduct and character of administrative, duties at Miva Open University. You must, from now henceforth, seize this golden moment, or any other one for that matter, to make yourself relevant in the scheme of things. You must make Miva University brand of ODL not only reputable, but of high and uncomparable global standards. And I always like to say that you must pursue greatness. Even as an individual, you must wake up, driven by the desire, to pursue greatness, to pursue progress, to pursue, to give visibility of the Miva brand. And therefore, I urge all stakeholders here, to continue to share the best practices. Miva, you can rest on your oars. You can always go to the Open University in the UK, from time to time. Go to the University of London. The University of London has the oldest open distance learning brand. Visit those best places in China, in the US of A. Learn the best practice, because the university is that unique animal that must demonstrate those attributes and make it a truly international character. You can't be proud to say that we're Miva, we're in Otago or Jabi. We don't care about what is happening in other parts of the world. So you must expose your staff, train them, improve their executive capacity. I want to repeat that innovative practices and partnerships are non-negotiable, because I believe that together we can create an educational landscape that is inclusive, flexible, and of the highest quality. And therefore, my prayer is that may this inaugural public lecture of Miva University serve to entrench the best and qualitative brand of ODL, and may this lecture be a true testament to the brighter future that lies ahead of this nascent but very promising, very potential open university. And I want to, on behalf of a truly grateful management and staff of the National University Commission, thank Mr. Chairman, the Chancellor, the Vice Chancellor, my colleagues, more so the Deputy Executive Secretary, academics, directors. I want to thank you all invited guests for listening and for your kind attention. And I say long live Miva, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you very much.
powerful presentation. We say thank you to the Acting Executive Secretary, National Universities Commission, Chris J. Maiyaki, for his powerful lecture on the changing role of administrators, of university administrators in the ODL setting. Having listened to such a powerful lecture, I believe that we should all feel like administrators. I said feel, I didn't say you are. So we want to say the acting executive secretary would like to be like where we grow up. Thank you very much. So the university administrators are at the forefront of the transformation in ODL. But we are all stakeholders, like the lecturer has said, and we must all be worried about failure. We pray that we tap into the promise of ODL and ensure that it is fulfilled for all learners. A round of applause again for the acting executive. As we come to the end of the main lecture, we are going to take a goodwill message from Professor Maiyaki.
It gives me great pleasure, excitement, and special privilege to send this goodwill message to the historic Miva public lecture to be delivered by our one and only vivacious, humble, respectful, committed, and seasoned academic administrator, Chief Chris Maiyaki, the Acting Executive Secretary, National Universities Commission. I am pleased that the great footprints of the person of Waziri Khan have been brought to bear on the first major public outing of Miva. Chief Maiyaki's organizational, managerial, negotiation, and administrative
We say a very big thank you to Professor Emeritus Olubemi Jegede, who actually came in spirit as well as in body. I must say today, as Miva, we are very proud to host our very first public lecture, and not just the very first, hosting at the National Universities Commission. And then our very first speaker is no other than the acting executive secretary of the National Universities Commission. We are very proud. So yes, at this point, we want to present an award of excellence to our chief speaker as well as the chairman of today's occasion. I would like to call on the Chancellor of Miva University, Sim Shagaya, to present this award.
Mr. Acting Executive Secretary, this is just a humble gesture of thanks for your support. Like I say, you acted like a coach, which means you provide support, but you also hold us to higher and higher levels of performance every day. For your vision, for your commitment to tertiary education and to our nation, we are grateful. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I would like to call on Professor Emeritus Julius Okoje, OON, and the Vice Chancellor of the university will present this award.
The chairman of this occasion, Professor Julius Okoje, the acting executive secretary, the speaker for today, Mr. Chris J. Maiyaki, the chancellor of Miva Open University, Sim Shagaya, the vice chancellor, Professor Tayo Arulolu, and our own deputy executive secretary, National Universities Commission, Dr. Noah Sayo. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are almost at the end of this event. But before we do that, we would like to call on the Vice Chancellor of the University to give the vote of thanks. Professor Aroldo, please.
Thank you so much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are coming to the end of the exciting public lecture, which happened to be the first one from Miva Open University. The chairman of this occasion, Prof, I want to thank all the members of the high table for your diligence, support, and encouragement. We appreciate what you are doing and what you've done in the past for education in Nigeria. As we come to the close of this enlightening public lecture, I stand before you with deep sense of gratitude and appreciation. First, I would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to Chief Chris Maiyaki. I just added Chief. I'm going to say Ambassador. The Acting Executive Secretary of the National Universities Commission for his invaluable insights on the changing role of university administrators in an open distance learning setting. Your wealth of knowledge and experience has provided us with a clear understanding of the evolving landscape of higher education and pivotal role of ODL. We are truly grateful for your time and your contributions today. I thank Professor Emeritus Julius Okoji for chairing this event and Professor Emeritus Olubemi Jegede for accepting to participate virtually at this event as a special guest of honor. I wish to express our gratitude to the National Universities Commission for hosting us at this prestigious venue. This venue is very huge. We look forward to having such very soon. Chancellor, I hope we can get it very soon. Thank you. Your support and partnership are instrumental in our shared mission to advance higher education in Nigeria. Our appreciation goes to all the Vice Chancellors, representatives, deputy DAs, directors, esteemed guests, faculty, staff, students, and friends of Miva Open University. Your presence and engagement have made this event a success. You have demonstrated a collective commitment to the future of education. Special thanks goes to the organizing committee and the staff of Miva Open University for the hard work and dedication in making this event possible. Your efforts behind the scenes ensure that everything runs smoothly and seamlessly. Thank you. Lastly, I would like to acknowledge the continuous support of our Chancellor, Sen Shagaya, whose vision and leadership inspire us to push the boundaries of qualitative and accessible education. Thank you all once again for being here today. Let us carry forward the knowledge and insights gained from this session to enhance our roles and as educators and administrators. I hope you found today's lecture both informative and inspiring. I look forward to seeing you at a future event. Have safe travels and have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Chancellor. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are about to bring this event to a close. I recall the registrar of the university mentioning that the speaker can speak many international languages and local languages. I would like to add that he is my boss, and I can speak some local languages. And I would like to say thank you in this way. Ekushel, Nagode, Dalu. We shall be closing this event with the national anthem, and after that it is have a good afternoon, and thank you for your attention.